Hi, thanks for tuning in to the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by CR Gutters and A Advanced Septic Services. My name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
And we're coming at you from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by CR Gutters and A Advanced Septic Services. We're coming at you from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. So, Joe, for all our new listeners and viewers, can you tell everyone how this Ask Valor Masterminds podcast came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started first as a Facebook page. We wanted to bring businesses together to communicate any issues that they were having and be able to just open up that dialect and get a conversation going. We thought that we might as well just turn it into a podcast and bring different guest speakers on to talk about a wide range of different topics, all related to business and making business better.
Awesome. So our last episode, we revisited a topic, social media. It's one of our most viewed podcasts. Valerie Harris was on again. Thank you, Valerie. What was your biggest takeaway from our last episode?
For me, it was something called TweetDeck. It's where you can actually schedule your posts on Twitter. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't think you could actually do it, and she revealed that you can do it.
Right. And along those same lines, on Facebook, I'm surprised to know that a lot of businesses who take care of their own social media don't schedule their posts on Facebook. So you make it easier on you, the business. So check that out or message us if there's any more details. We will quickly introduce and then formally introduce later our guests. So today we have Paige Roberts, who I met at the Seattle Startup Week, the end of 2019, I believe, and sat in on your presentation and everything. So before we ask you questions, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm, a health and wellness, enthusiast. I'm super into health and wellness, and it kind of got me into the business that I'm doing now. So, yeah, from
Awesome.
Steamboat Springs, Colorado, originally, out here, living in Bellevue.
Awesome. We'll get to know you a bit later. So our image we want to get queued up, our pump you up quote of the day. So this quote, don't go through life, grow through life. It's on one of your other websites, which we'll discuss later. But today's topic, we wanted to get into Paige's main business is Performance Neuro Training and the term biohacking. So some intriguing stuff. I've read about it a little bit and just kind of wanted to bring it to our audience and just to get a taste of it a little bit. So now comes our CR Gutters Did You Know segment. So cue up that first image. So there are 4 words that we're going to define a day and get quick thoughts from each of us here. So these 4 words are, did you know these words? Biohacking.
No clue.
Brainspotting. Photobiomodulation. Say that 3 times quickly.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
And nootropics. All right. So biohacking. Cue the biohacking image, please. So biohacking, the definition that I found usable was the use of science and technology to make his or her body function better and more efficiently. So Joe, you said no clue, right?
Yep.
And I've only heard of it when I went to Startup Week these past couple of years, these CEOs getting into it. What's a 20-second quick answer to biohacking?
Well, basically, biohacking is hacking your genetic code so that you can expand your life and so that you can expand on your performance. So that's how I feel biohacking is.
Is that similar to like retraining the brain?
Yeah, in a sense, it's an aspect of biohacking, retraining the brain.
Huh.
And the part I found intriguing was really the key to cognitive enhancement. So if I could make my brain better or operate at a higher level, I think we could do business better. Cue our second word, another long word, Brainspotting. Sounds kind of scary, but a powerful focused treatment method that works by identifying, processing, and releasing core neurophysiological sources of emotional/body pain, trauma, disassociation, and a variety of other challenging systems. So the little bit of research I did, or watched your videos on your site, there's something your brain releases. Cortisol is kind of like the stress stuff that makes your brain, when you feel stressed, it gets released. And then there's oxytocin, not oxycodone, oxytocin, that's more of the good stuff. So same thing. Quick 20-second thought on brain spotting, because I know at your clinic, it's something you offer. So,
Absolutely. So with brain spotting, you can actually go in and rewrite and rewire your neural pathways. So we produce the chemical based off the past time that we remember something each time. So you're going in and rewriting negative, bad memories that originally were written with cortisol with oxytocin. So that's the whole principle around brain spotting, rewiring, rewriting your nervous system, essentially.
do you see more like business professionals or like that CEO level? I know before we started this off camera, we talked about Jack Dorsey, the Twitter CEO, and a lot of these startup CEOs utilizing some of this stuff. I know we'll talk about later, but your work with the United States Olympic ski team or like severe injuries from a business performance standpoint, is this something that's picking up a little bit of steam?
Absolutely, and it should.
Okay.
Yeah, expanding on your performance, meaning physical, mental, emotional, all of it, and then you're going to get better results within your business. So,
Awesome. Our next image, this is the longest word of the day. So, photobiomodulation, lightly known, and you'll expound on it more, light therapy, but a non-invasive, non-thermal therapy which stimulates cells to generate more energy and undergo self-repair through the use of near-infrared light. So, Joe, when I say photobiomodulation, what do you think of?
Nothing anywhere close to what the definition is.
All right, because
But
when I thought like light therapy, I don't know if you guys watched the very first Mission Impossible with like Tom Cruise. You know, he's on the helicopter at the end, red light, green light, and then it explodes. Like that's what I think first. But then I doing some research, the brain body regeneration for the everyman out there, photobiomodulation.
well,
What's your
light
thought on it?
modulates cellular process. That's really what it means. So basically, you're stimulating your cell to increase its mitochondria number and size, and
Okay,
same as like exercise or any of those fabulous things.
awesome.
interesting. Yesterday, cold calling, I ran into a psychologist's office that had like the picture on there that shows all the red lights hanging from their door, using it for some sort of therapy.
Absolutely. That's what they're doing out of Harvard, and that's why I use it.
Awesome. Then our last Did You Know word of the day, brought to you by CR Gutters. Nootropics. So what's that? Well, it's drugs, supplements, and other substances that may improve cognitive function, particularly executive functions, memory, creativity, or motivation in healthy individuals. So when I read nootropics, do you have a thought on that?
No, but when you read it, it talks about memory and motivation, and that's probably something that I need. My wife always says I forget everything, so
Right. And when I read like in healthy individuals, so if you're not healthy, that means you can't take this stuff. So nootropics, it's a word we haven't heard of, our audience probably hasn't heard of. What's your quick thought on nootropics?
Okay, so they found a long time ago that we can't even consume enough food in a day to get the nutrients that we need to function optimally. So
Okay.
everyone should be taking supplements of some kind.
Okay. Are there some that are better? Like, there's like the vitamin stores you see and everything,
Absolutely.
super supplements, or like going to
Absolutely.
Costco and
Non-GMO, organic. I mean, gosh, all this stuff is being sprayed with toxins as well. So you really need to be sure of where you're getting your supplements, and you need to ask, is there a peer-reviewed study that supports what you say it's doing?
Right.
And you're right as the consumer to get that given to you. So absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that's our CR Gutters Did You Know segment. So we'll have a spelling test later, guys. Right. Memorize those words.
nootropics.
Yeah. So to officially introduce Paige Roberts of Performance Neuro Training, again, I met her at the Seattle Startup Week. Very intriguing session. It's one of the sessions I was looking forward to. Reached out to her and said, would you mind joining our podcast? I think our audience would like to hear some of the stuff you do, and especially for business owners, if they could improve their mental acuity or cognitive stuff. Our audience is hungry for that. But Paige is a sports and fitness enthusiast. She uses a process called Performance Neuro Training, which is a combination of sports psychology, brain spotting, hot and cold, photobiomodulation, word of the day, laser healing. Her current practice philosophy combines a variety of techniques, including clinical social work, which you have a master's in social work,
Yes.
exercise, and neuroscience, and health and wellness lifestyle coaching. So welcome.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Joe, you want to ask the first question?
Sure. So as a business, what are some of the first lessons you learned as an early entrepreneur?
Oh, geez. Well, specifically in the sports world, I learned from a veteran athletic trainer for the New York Jets. He told me no one really cares who you are and what you do. They only care what you can do for them. And so that really stuck with me over and over again. And so really targeting the individual that I'm talking to specifically so that I can appeal to them, not what I want and what my agenda is.
Nice. So what's the best piece of advice that you've been given in business?
Oh, geez. You have to put yourself out there. You know, if you want a big payoff, you have to take a big risk. And so I've always kept that in mind. I mean, I moved from a 10,000 people population town, Steamboat Springs, Colorado, out here to Seattle area like a little over 3 years ago and really took a big risk to expand my practice beyond U.S. ski teamers and snowboarders.
Awesome.
Why is marketing so important?
Oh, advocacy. So I started my business really to help athletes dealing with mental and physical traumas and just average anyone dealing with mental and physical traumas. And so I just really want the word to get out there that if you are struggling, if you feel awful, if you're lacking focus, not sleeping well, not performing optimally, not reaching your goals, that there are things that can expand on your own health. So that's really why it's important to me. Advocacy.
So you mentioned your work with the United States Olympic ski team. Can you tell that story a little bit more? Because when I heard it during your presentation, I was kind of blown away. Like, I'm a fan of anything Olympics, the amateur sports, and everything already. So yeah, I think it'd be cool to share with our audience.
Well, and so in the very beginning when I started out, I'd started working with athletes who'd been kicked off the team because their performance had declined after injuries and just, perceived failures around not doing great at competitions. And then that kind of expanded into, the next Olympics were coming around. And so I started having athletes reach out to me, and very particularly one whom has allowed for me to share her experience around things. She reached out to me. She'd been at the Sochi Olympics prior and crashed during her warm-up run and dislocated her shoulder, and then was coming around to trying to make the Olympic team. And the issue is that her performance had continued to decline because really unconsciously her body was muscle guarding in fear of that injury happening again. And so we did, 12 sessions to get her back on the team. And from there, she was able to, do the best performance. It was snowboard halfpipe when it came to X Games and the Dew Tour, which are really big in that sport. And then at the Olympics, she ended up with the third place medal, bronze medal, was really not seeded to go in with a medal. So she came out as the dark horse, as they call it.
Right.
And her coach said it was the best turnaround he'd ever seen. So it was really cool to see her nervous system detrain the trauma and expand. So it was really cool.
So then was that the impetus for you kind of moving out here and then growing yourself and starting what you have now?
Actually, that all happened. I worked telehealth with her the whole time because I'm
okay.
licensed in Colorado. So really getting me to go out here was right after I'd presented at an international Brainspotting conference. It was the first one. It was actually 4 years ago, almost to the day, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And I'd met a craniopath out here, and he'd been doing some interesting things with the eye movement piece of the brain spotting. And he said, hey, there's not a lot of people doing the photobiomodulation or the brain spotting or sports psychology out here. You should expand out here. And I was like, started looking at the stats of like, should I go to Denver? Should I go here? And ended up loading up my Subaru, and here I am.
Nice. So we'll get into biohacking now. So it's a term. When I first mentioned it to Joe, he's like, "Whew, like what is it? I have no clue."
Hacking my brain. That's what I think of.
Yeah, I mean,
Hacking my
obviously.
brain.
Oh, good work, good job. Yeah, awesome.
Aspects.
Same thing I did. So what is there's like negative perceptions when you Google the term, and then there's positive stuff. Is it approved? Can you do it on your own? You're not going to see your medical doctor. Talk to us about biohacking basics and
Okay.
who's it for? Why would you want to use it? So
Well, with anything that you're doing, you're going to want to see if it's valid research or valid individual telling you to do something. People have credentials. I mean, there are numerous and probably thousands at this point in time around the world, medical professionals with licenses and credentials providing biohacking services. But some of the other aspects of biohacking is that people had chronic illnesses or had chronic fatigue and all these other types of issues going on, and they they sought out and found these very niche, kind of strange types of therapeutic interventions, and then it helped them get better. It helped them expand on their performance. So therefore, they are advocating and influencing others to seek out these therapies to heal themselves and get better themselves. So that's kind of like some of the culture of biohacking. So that's what it's all about, you know. And so yeah, you're going to have people telling you to do things that are not necessarily good for your body. So
Right.
you know, you kind of have to be discerning. However, there are real you know, doctors doing this. I mean, Dr. Mark Hyman, there's Dr. David Musnick here in the Seattle area. It's like there's some really good literature out there now. So yeah, it's for everyone.
So, so when did this become a thing? You mentioned some people have been doing it for a long time. And the reason why I asked that at Seattle Startup Week, or just when I follow different news and everything, a lot of tech CEOs are using elements of biohacking, and
Yeah.
now they're starting to share their secrets. You know,
Yep.
they're typically richer than Joe and I are, so they could afford these kind of things. But for the everyman, again, yeah, why is it important, like for us?
Okay, so starting in the beginning here. So probably about 8 years ago, it started becoming more popular and just coining the phrase biohacking. And that was David Asprey. He was the one with all the bulletproof stuff. He talked about biohacking all the time. And basically, yes, so he lost all this weight, got on keto, and started finding these things that made him feel better, and started to interview the people, the top in their field, medical providers, about biohacking. And so it started to get out there then. When it comes to just reversing aging, I mean, that's been around forever. We're always chasing the fountain of youth because that's what it is. And actually, exercise physiology, I mean, there's PhDs in it. It's like, it's been around for a long time.
Right.
But we're just coining this phrase, and it's just kind of getting it out there for everyone because, yeah, anyone and everyone should be doing this. And when it comes to just you know, why you should be doing, it's like, wow, you know, it's like, who doesn't want to reverse aging? As we age, our immune system decreases, our performance decreases, we get aches and pains. Yeah, so it's all inhibitory stuff. So that's why everyone needs to be biohacking at this point in time.
Awesome. So biohacking, you mentioned like bulletproof. So like, is that like bulletproof coffee and those kind of
Yes,
things?
yes.
Okay.
And so he kind of started all of that trend. You know, he's got his 7th annual conference going on in LA here in the next month. And yeah, so he's, yeah, allowing others to kind of sample these things at this conference. And the thing about it, so this is what I always tell my clients, you know, I'll throw out there all of these different recommendations and I say, hey, just choose one thing a week or something. You know, everyone can, you know, spend $100 to $150 a week on some kind of aspect of self-care because that's what this is. It's self-care.
Right.
So yeah, you can sample all sorts of different things. There's cryotherapy, there's saunas, there's the photobiomodulation, there's the brain spotting, there's acupuncture, there's massage, there's ionic foot baths. I mean, there's homeopaths, there's supplementation, all of these things, chiropractor, massage, yeah, all of it.
And I read also too that there's even some like implants. There's like biohacking implants. So you know, like you could get an implant of, I don't know if maybe it's on the experimental stage, but you get something that could, you get something implanted and then it tests your blood for you. Then it communicates to like a radio transmitter or these different things. You know, almost
scary.
space age kind of stuff.
You could. To me, I would not be as open to that because I'm the big trauma person. So I really understand that the brain and the body shuts down with any kinds of trauma and foreign objects and so on. And some of those EMFs and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff is not healthy for us. It actually
Right.
stimulates our cortisol to be produced. So I would not be completely for those things. Natural's typically best. I mean, you can go out and put your feet on the ground, the earthing aspect of things for 10 minutes and reset your frequency to the 7.5 that it needs to be to kind of detrain some of the negative frequency that we encounter every day from Wi-Fi and EMFs.
Wow. I did not even understand what that meant.
And that was free.
But I heard getting outside.
And
So,
free, 10 minutes.
Yeah, free.
10
There you
minutes
go.
Barefoot.
barefoot.
Tip of the day for this podcast: get outside, especially when
Yes.
it's nice, right? All right. So, one of the therapies you offer is brain spotting. So let's take a little deeper dive into that. So, what's the profile of someone who needs brain spotting, or for the business professional who should consider it on that
Well,
side?
with brain spotting, basically, it's anyone who wants to reset their overall nervous system to not be producing as much cortisol oxidative stress all the time. So you come in and you talk about all the negative things that have happened, all the current stressors in work, and allows for your body to deregulate down to a more calmer state. And so you're getting less cellular damage, you're being able to sleep better, you're not as reacting as much to just minor things going on in your business every day. So it's really anyone that wants to have a healthier set point all the time.
And is it a frequency of treatments? Like, do you go once a week, twice a week, or depending on if you have higher stress, you have to go in more frequently?
Yeah, and kind of how I start with people and what I've seen with the Olympic athletes and other individuals and hundreds of youth athletes I've worked with, I need about 10 sessions with someone to clear all their past negative experiences and stressors and traumas and kind of rewrite them to get them to a really great set point. And then I have people come in kind of monthly for a tune-up or every couple months for a tune-up. So it's something, yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah. And what really the impetus for me looking into this stuff outside of hearing you is I know Russell Wilson of our Seattle Seahawks, he has a brain performance specialist that he works with. So whatever he's doing, if we could impart some of that, that'd be great. So
Absolutely.
the other therapy that you focus a lot on is the photobiomodulation.
Yes.
So what? Talk to us about that and who
geez.
needs it, or what physically what it is. I don't have a picture of it, but I'm sure we could direct them to your website.
Yeah,
so.
basically they're LED lights that we put on the skin, and it started in Harvard in 1993. James Carroll brought it over from Europe and over to Harvard to be studied, and basically it stimulates the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of your cell, and it's the same as like exercise. So there's very few ways to increase the mitochondria. So it's really marvelous. I saw it at a sports medicine conference about 5 years ago, and I thought it was magic. I'm like, wait, a bone can heal 50% quicker. This is amazing. But really, how I'm utilizing it is to again reverse the aging process. So it's not allowing for you to tear down as quickly as you normally would. I mean, at 25, we start tearing down more than we're rebuilding because we start dying then. And so it just reverses that aspect. Also, it stimulates collagen. We all want collagen, breaks up scar tissue. But for the brain piece, we know that it can reverse Alzheimer's and other neurocognitive disorders like that. It decreases the microglial priming. Our microglial are supposed to clean up the brain from toxins and all the bad stuff. Well, it starts to become hypervigilant with continued trauma, whether environmental, physical, mental trauma going on. So it actually reverses that. So really, most of the time people get up off the light therapy bed and be like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm thinking clearly. Oh, I'm so focused. And so that's really what it's providing individuals. And then again, the concussion piece. So kids, if have had a concussion playing sports and so on, we can reverse that damage. I do a QEEG brain scan, so we can actually do a baseline to show that we increase their reflexes and the voltage within their brain with the light therapy and the brain spotting. So it's very cool.
For athletes, that's big, especially for
Huge.
like you're working with Olympic athletes and everything, right? So if someone does the photobiomodulation, do you always also do you have to take like supplements too? Like, are there like vitamins, pills you could take to increase your oxytocin or reduce your cortisol?
So the thing with the nitric oxide is kind of what you can take nitric oxide, but your body will release it when you're getting the light therapy on you. So that's a chain reaction from the mitochondria to the ATP and the nitric oxide production, which nitric oxide is an antioxidant, so it combats the cortisol stress, oxidative stress. Free radical antioxidant, so you're talking about you have a cell and it has 4 oxygen molecules, and so a free radical will come in and take one, and the cell can still live. If it takes another one, the cell dies. So an antioxidant goes in and replaces those molecules, and so the cell lives because we want cells to live. So that's basically what we're talking about with that nitric oxide piece and why that's important. And then getting into the supplements, that's why that's important too. And of course, eating healthy. A lot of vitamins are antioxidants. So that's what that's all about, that antioxidant language. But really with supplements for that, I want people to take spirulina because we're heating up metals and other toxins. And so we want it to bind in the digestive process and go away. So Dr. Mark Hyman is really into like the new reversing aging is really detoxing. And so he'll talk about that all the time. Again, an MD, this is real stuff.
So for everyone, our listeners and audience out there, thanks for tuning in. So you already gave one tip, get outside.
Yes.
Are there one or two other quick hacks that people could do for free that you'd recommend?
Deep belly breathing. So anytime you get stressed, I want you to take 5 deep belly breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, and that'll instantly reset your vagal nerve. So it calms you down instantly.
So if I have a bigger belly, is it harder for me to do that?
No.
Okay. Easier? Or
You're
have
just
more
gonna-
airflow?
You're just going to spend more time with inhalation.
Okay.
4-second inhalation.
All right. I'll count that as a workout then.
Yeah.
So breathing, deep belly
Yes,
breathing.
deep belly
Is there a one or two other things?
Oh, geez. Gosh, exercise, HIIT
Oh.
training. No, all you have to do is set your timer on your iPhone, because we all have them, for 12 to 15 minutes, and you'll just do cycles of the same exercise over and over. So you can do like jumping jacks, mountain climbers, and then like ski bumps. Do that 5 times through for 1 minute each. That's your HIIT training. 2 days a week. That's all we got to be doing to reverse the aging with that aspect.
Awesome. So everyday tips that everyone could do.
For
So
free.
yes. So one other venture that Paige is doing, and she has an event coming up, cue the last image, is the Revival U 2020 Biohacking Trade Show. So Revival U, on the website, you're one of 3 founders.
Yep.
Can you tell us how this came to be and how did you come up with the event to have?
Yeah, so Van was running the biohackers of the Pacific Northwest and was very interested in biohacking. She got into it a few years ago, and she's a publicist and PR individual and has put on many other events and knew how to do this, as I'm not a production company. I don't know how to do this. So she's running that aspect of things. And then Carla, I met her about a year and a half ago, and she is a yoga instructor and a nutritionist, and actually is a lawyer in Croatia, but doesn't mean anything here. Yeah, I know. So very intelligent, talented woman. But nonetheless, Carla kind of complements what I do. I am not a yoga instructor. I don't do a lot of the nutrition piece. I do the mental piece and the light therapy. And so we've been doing youth expansion, performance expansion groups together. And so all 3 of us came together, and it just was a perfect fit for this. And we're all very interested in all this biohacking stuff. And yeah, so we're putting on the first ever trade show up here. It's Biohack Your Health. And it'll be May 16th at the Hotel W. So we're in partnership with the
In
Hotel.
Bellevue.
Yes, in Bellevue at the Hotel W. Super exciting. Only 200 people can attend. So yeah, now's the time to get your tickets. And within and around the trade show aspect of things is we are going to be having all of these interesting biohacking modalities for you to sample. We'll be having multiple workshops. I'll be doing a Brainspotting group workshop. Carla will be doing her yoga flow workshop, sound therapy. We've got a couple of the experts in town. Risa Suzuki will be talking about EMFs and Wi-Fi, because everyone needs to know how that's harming your health and how you can prevent it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I always look to get closer to the Wi-Fi, so if it has some bad health benefits, that may be...
She's got a book too, so you may need to
All right.
purchase that book while you're there. But nonetheless, you'll be able to sample the photobiomodulation. We got Dr. Ginger Bowler. She's got a PhD in light therapy. She's going to be featured in TEDx this coming month.
wow.
But she'll be there speaking about the photobiomodulation. I did a week-long training with her in Boulder, Colorado about 5 years ago. So the experts on these things will be there. So it's
So
exciting.
I'm just curious, why are you limited to only 200 people? Size of the room?
Size. Yep. Hotel W is not a giant place.
So if this event, if I'm a rookie biohacker or a veteran biohacker, is this for all people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And actually, the director, Steve of Pacific Northwest Biohacker, will be doing a workshop on really what biohacking is. But it's going to be talking about all the pieces of what that incorporates. Dr. David Musnick will be talking about microcurrent and how you can get your own microcurrent devices to reset your frequency. And he's actually the director of microcurrent and all this other interesting stuff nationally. So very cool stuff.
So revivalu.com is the website to get more information on it. But Joe, just looking back at this episode, there's a lot of scientific terms. We introduced some big words: biohacking,
Brainspotting.
brainspotting, photobiomodulation, nootropics. What is your quick reflection thought on this?
I like it how it ties into the Ask Valor Masterminds portion of it, because we're trying to retrain our brain. So that's a quick tie-in for me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you'll be our mastermind for anything neuro performance.
Yeah.
Definitely loved you coming on. Thanks for joining us. And
Super grateful.
yeah, we'll push the event as it gets closer, the Revival U event. So yeah, check it out. So thanks everyone for tuning in to our Ask Valor Masterminds episode, brought to you by CR Gutters and Advanced Septic Services. My name's Galen,
Joe?
and we will see you guys soon.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.